you can definitely get drug into some stuff if you're religious enough and you're gullible. But the young Earth thing, I really hate. I hate that more than almost anything because
of
I can get
they're dinosaur deniers.
Because it's so all right. I'll lay out my little argument on the young Earth thing, but like the idea that we're going on God's word in Genesis, like it's verbatim, like factual, like taking notes, like. So he made the stars then too, right? He made the heavens and the earth and the firmament and blah, 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 blah. But that light from those stars, we can measure how long it took to get here. And we know almost exactly how fast light is. So we got like a clock running in the sky all the time. So it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. Even if carbon half-lives don't matter and like we can't actually measure how old something is, which isn't true.
Yeah, why would God make the universe appear so much older to all the way that like we're able to observe it?
Wouldn't that mean God's a liar?
It sounds like you guys just can't understand God's plan, which is understandable. You're only human. So
that's true, but I don't think.
Well, it sounds like God should have made a more understandable plan, and that's a problem because he's a God.
Isn't it curious that God will be very generous with the Bible? The Bible's very literally true, and maybe God said the Earth is 6,000 years old or some nonsense like that.
Roughly, yeah.
Why did God make the Earth 6,000 years ago, but build it in a way to it looks a lot older? Like the thing you live on is inherently deceptive and trying to get you to believe something different. That doesn't seem like a very straightforward, honest, or benevolent.
That's the devil
God.
at work.
Yeah. When I was in like when I was like in church or whatever, maybe I didn't. The church I was at as a kid wasn't extreme enough, but they were like more like, yeah, time does not exist to us the way it does to God.
Exactly.
That 7 days that he talks about in the beginning, it's silly for us to think this is 7 days the way we see it. Like, you know, it says to God, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. Like we can't.
Well, it doesn't say that.
Like, that's how they.
But that's not that. Even that isn't meant to get you to start fucking doing math or anything. It's supposed to get you in the frame of mind, and that's how I saw it as a child, without anyone telling me. It's like
same.
He doesn't mean 7 days. He means that the Lord worked for what felt like a week to him building the goddamn universe.
Yeah. What felt like a week to him.
It's in a full work week with overtime.
Like if you look in the Old Testament, they always are using like, and then fucking the Israelites did this for 40 days and 40 nights. Like they use that number all the time in the same way we will say something like, oh, there's millions of examples of this. Like that's just meant for them to say
it means a long
time of constant effort to get something done.
And I'm not trying. I think there are a lot of things that are in the Bible that are historical, and but there's lots of nonsense too. And the problem is, I think Aramaic was the language of Jesus. Am I wrong about that?
That was the primary language of Jesus.
Yeah, it's been so
like what he spoke or what.
But
even
what Jesus
the Bible,
spoke,
the Old Testament would have been written in like ancient
the Dead Sea Scroll.
No, would have the New Testament would have been written in Greek.
I said Old Testament.
I'm sorry.
New Testament. A lot of the disciples, or some of them, would have translated to Greek, or they would have been Greek themselves.
So you've got multiple translations from ancient languages in some cases, and then the part that really always upsets me is when you get into the horse trading that happened in I think it's the Roman Senate, about what was going to stay in and what was going to stay out, and then again it happened when King James made his little fucking edit. It's just
I think that was the
Council of Constantinople. Nicaea in Constantinople, or Emperor Constantinople wrote that, and
there was horse trading for that, where like one senator wanted, like, he's like, I don't know, that book, the book of Jose over there, they're saying some things. Come on,
I don't like that.
People look bad. That's what we do.
We already got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and you're trying to add the Gospel of Thomas, some second rate guy.
There's multiple.
We're not adding him.
There were multiple Gospels that were excised, and I don't know, the whole thing.
It's as if the whole religion was created by man.
It's really interesting.
If you look at the early history, like a theologian,
God. That's the thing. That's the most telling thing to me about all holy books. You can tell a dude wrote this, or a bunch of dudes. It's no more. There's no understanding that rises to the power and the knowledge of an omnipotent, omniscient God built into that book. At no point is he like, and then I used this technique to turn protons into matter, and thus there's no science. So there's no even like old timey speak for science. You know what I mean? Like it's just
such
like
concepts did not exist.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
cons. So
Well,
I don't know how
Let's
we
back
got
to
on
the-
this.
let's go back to the
Science,
flat
I'll
Earth
go.
stuff on this religious.
Oh, I
So
don't
I'm not
believe
saying
them. I
that
don't believe the
Christians are
trolls.
flat earthers. But
I think
there's-
most of them are fibbing.
They're
Yeah,
trolls.
but there's an overlap, though, of very religious people that did not reason themselves into this position to begin with. They probably got there through emotion. And talking about the light of the stars and the carbon dating and this real science and how it affects our lives, the moment you've said that, you've already lost the argument to them. They've already checked out. You've probably heard the phrase, you can't reason somebody out of a position they didn't reason themselves into to begin with. It has nothing to do with facts and logic. It has nothing to do with real science and proving stuff. For a lot of those people that operate on maybe more of an emotional basis instead of a logical one, that's very stressful for them, and they probably won't do it or won't give you the mental time and acuity that's required to understand these concepts. And it's why they're attracted to flat Earth.
Are you afraid to die?
Honestly, yeah. I'm pretty afraid to die. I think with all the hell I went through, I probably would have killed myself if I wasn't afraid of dying.
What concerned you about dying?
I think it's awesome to be alive. Alive is opportunity, it's hope, it's interesting. There's new, there's next, there's fun things to do. Dying, all that goes away. Even in the more generous aspect of, nothing happens. It's like before you were born, you don't experience anything. That's bullshit. I want to keep experiencing things for a long, long time. I feel like the fact that I have to die means that I was cheated a little bit out of my existence.
And nothing did matter.
Yeah,
nothing
like
did matter.
I know what you.
No, it didn't matter at all.
I think it was. I don't remember who said it. Maybe it was like Christopher Hitchens or some shit. But it was many years ago. He said like, the really wild thing about death is like all of life is like a party. There's bad parts to it, but like you're here, and like the party doesn't end when you die. Like you just have to leave. And so like every experiences continue. As you age, you become ever closer, like kind of realizing this is ending. And when it ends for you, it's a little blip. For everyone else, it's a major thing for the people you love and care about and all that. But it fades. It goes away. Like you're just not a part of existence and that's horrifying. That's so scary to think like you're just not going to be anymore. I don't.
Would it even matter if you remembered like an Alexander the Great or a Julius Caesar or a FDR? Would that matter to you that you left?
No,
not just a legacy, but that children would be taught your name and your acts.
If it was a good legacy, yeah. Like if you were like Stalin or something, everyone was going to hate you. No, but like if you were known for helping people,
are you now knowing that the things we've done and you guys that have created an incredible amount of content and influenced millions of people around the world, you've left a mark. People will speak your name for a long time after you're dead. But when you're dead, you don't have consciousness, so none of that matters to you personally. It all just blips away.
But maybe knowing
it's a comfort leading up. Yeah, exactly what Kyle said. It's like a comfort leading up to death. Like if you're some guy who lived his whole life as like a misanthropic shut-in who hated people and was rude, no family, no kids, no nothing, like that person approaching death is probably a lot scarier than someone who like really built something of their life. They have kids, they have success. And so they at least can backwards engineer in their head, like, all right, I'm not going to be forgotten. I've got this, that, and the other thing. Whereas like approaching death and knowing it's going to end and that you didn't do anything with life.
I think our stories
got to be existentially terrifying.
Like
these things don't. I want to get up. I've been quiet.
Yeah, go for it.
These things don't matter to me at all. I don't give a I can't relate to giving a fuck about like a legacy or people thinking about me afterwards. What I do care about is the people that I've touched are okay after I'm gone. I do in my life, I pull the locomotive, right? Like in this family of mine, and I just want to make sure that after I stop pulling, they're ambulatory on their own. Remember, like legacy, people still think like that stuff doesn't matter at all. Just that they're able to continue on without my help.
Like, that is its own
care about
form
those
of
people.
Legacy.
No, well, yeah, but
Woody, that's the most touching thing I've ever heard you say, and I totally agree.
I don't give him credit for that.
No, he gets credit for that.
Take it away.
He's actually a pretty good guy.
No, it's not. Stop it.
Yeah, and that
I like that. I like that one. That one's like hoping that the people you love are taken care of, and that you've done all that you can do, and all for them. I kind of like. I don't know, like the historical kind of thing. Like having a statue of you would be a nice thing, or having like genuinely like if
Flattering one.
Lincoln,
Good one. I want to be thin.
Like if you could bring Lincoln back.
All
to
we
life,
have are these pictures Woody put on Twitter at 50.
Oh, fuck. All right, no, carve the pants really big. That's what he was wearing.
if you could bring Lincoln back to life, and you could be like, your legacy has lived on. Your story is told and has been retold and seen by millions in theater houses all around the world, because he'd know what that is. He don't know what movies are, but he just and by millions of people, every American knows your name. This is the $5 bill, sir. That is your monument on top of that hill right there. You're 25 feet fucking tall or something like that in there. Like people call you Honest Abe. People call you the savior and the reunifier, the man who freed the slaves. And then maybe you show him like what black people have gone on to do. He'd be like, so stoked. He'd be so stoked. He'd be like, whoa, I didn't mean free. Like,
historically, that's pretty true.
He'd be like, you guys went too far.
They did that in a Doctor Who episode. They brought Van Gogh to the Van Gogh Museum.
What did you say, Drifter?
In a Doctor Who episode, one of their most touching ones, they brought Vincent Van Gogh, who was a failure at that time of his life, to the Van Gogh Museum to see his art and his influence and what it became. It was. I don't watch a lot of Doctor Who. I watched that. It was incredibly touching. That
may maybe even be like the triggering part when they're showing him all of his paintings and all the people there to see them. He's like, "What is this place?" Well, this is the Van Gogh Museum of Natural Arts, sir. And it's like, that was I cried at that episode. It's genuinely sad.
Nah, dude, in real life, he'd be going around and be like, "Your women, the shorts, the cleavage, incredible."
This isn't Christian at all.
Nah, I think he'd be good with it. I thought Van Gogh was into like whores and drugs and stuff. I heard that the ear thing.
No, I thought he was into like abstinence of a great number of things in poverty. Like he was a missionary and he gave his missionary money away to live in poverty because that was more holy.
Who was that virgin sign? Wasn't Isaac Newton like hyper religious, like virgin his whole life, right? And
he believed in witches and he was probably schizophrenic as well. I think he also tried not to have contact with women at all because he was afraid that any woman could be a witch.
I mean, better safe than sorry.
He needed his free time to think about gravity and physics. Okay?
Yeah, dude, think if that guy was getting laid.
Believing in witches,
wouldn't have figured out all those cool things.
Believing in witches in his day is not that crazy of a fucking.
No, not at all.
It's not like this fucking crazy book of Taylor's. Like, skull shape really does determine things. It's like, I don't know, man. Stuff happens sometimes, and we can't explain.
I mean, anyone who's been watching knows they're witchy for about 5 days a month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of
Newton invented calculus, if I'm not mistaken. Calculus as a mathematics did not exist at all before Newton. He invented it on his own to explain the natural world.
Can you imagine that being like, golly, these witches are stressing me out so much, I'm just going to invent math.
Yeah, he tried to use his math and calculus to prove stuff about witchcraft and angels and biblical numerology and stuff.
Wonder if any of that stuff got published. You know what? I want to see a full Newton book, including those theories. I want to see the whole gamut, because it'd be like chapter 2, calculus, chapter 3, the weight of witches in water. And it'd be like, all right, what did he figure out? Not much.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Here we go. I got it on right here. Sir Isaac Newton. Nope, that's not it. He did publish some of these.
He was talking about Newton and saying that
here's the book. Philosophy Naturalis Principia Artes Magicus. I'll show you an excerpt from the book on my little cam. Let me go do the transition thing here to desktop capture. Here are some pages.
Helpful.
Yeah, it was all this kind of stuff. It was like biblical mysticism and stuff. You can see all the what are these called? Arcane or occultic symbols going on.
Little characters. Interesting. Yep. I need to find more. What do you have to do?
I'll put the title of the book in the chat. It's a big mess. Newton did all sorts of stuff like that. But you're not wrong that in his day, they were hunting witches. As far as he and almost everybody else was concerned, witches were real. And the earth, some people knew it was round, not everybody.
I'm not 1,000% sure witches aren't real. or that they never were real. You know, like, and I don't believe that any women have ever like made a deal with like the devil from the Bible and like gotten any powers or sent any curses. But I don't know, like maybe we're in some kind of a simulation and there's like there's some weird stuff going on that we still can't grasp a hold of, or maybe there's another dimension where there's some demon-like being who could come here and do some weird stuff. I'm not 1,000%.
I don't think the simulation
extra
thing
spatial dimension.
I don't know why you say that. Like
because it's just like an even more complicated endpoint than just God. Like just like, oh, there is a God basically, but he isn't a guy who created people. He created a magnificent algorithm, and that algorithm created us. And it's like,
yeah, but then you could understand
like
that.
You've just taken the beginning point and added nonsense to try and comport the God theory to.
I got rid of all the nonsense. You had to invent a word, God, to start, like a made up thing that doesn't exist. You start with a made up thing to explain how the universe existed. I'm saying
Kyle's right here.
Dave fucking made the universe in his office, and it could be.
Who's Dave? A being outside of space, time, and restrictions of physical world?
No, he's in his own universe, and the laws and the things
who made that universe?
Hang on, the laws and the things in his universe could be exactly like ours, or he could be testing weird like ways the universes could be held together and the laws in them. But I get your point that there could be a God that has to create his universe before. But
because if you say Dave is just a guy from another universe, then you've just created an infinitely recyclable
talking about the Rick and Morty battery episode. But there's also a great sci-fi novel where people build an infinite computer, infinite computational power. And as a joke, they decide to simulate the universe and are shocked at how accurate it is. And they fast forward time and it's like, whoa, that's Jesus being crucified. And they like fast forward in time to see themselves in their own simulated universe. And they're like, all right, we can do anything we want. Let's fuck with these digital versions of ourselves and let's put this big menacing black orb in the room with these computer scientists. And they do it. And as soon as they do it, a big orb pops up in their room. And they realize that they created infinite computational power and simulated themselves, who then in that universe simulated themselves. And it's all the way down. And that in all likelihood, there's little to no deviation from top to bottom. Nobody knows where it ends.
It happens over and over.
Yeah, so every decision that they make, as above, so below, it kind of mirrors. And Kyle is completely right about this because there is actually objective empirical science that at least indicates the simulation theory of the universe could be real. Like if you look at particle physics, local reality isn't actually real. It doesn't hold up. You know, the electron is a wave and a particle and that kind of stuff. Quantum entanglement is very bizarre. The way black holes radiate energy is very bizarre. I think quantum entanglement actually defies a few of the laws of physics because when you disentangle,
but I mean, like, is
transmit
the
information faster.
It is a more sensible explanation for that not making sense that there are infinite universes, or that the heuristic through which we're analyzing these particles is incorrect? Because that's what I would like. We like the same way you would look at mold on bread hundreds of years ago and not understand the mechanisms through which that was happening. Like we could be looking at subparticle physics with an incorrect heuristic and not know what's going on. And so we're attributing that to the same way a religious person would attribute that to God and his marvels or whatever. You can attribute it to, oh, well, clearly this doesn't work. It must be some programmer in the infinity beyond that's doing this.
That's sort of dismissive in a way, because science, you want to base your beliefs on your best knowledge. And as we've talked, that's changed. It evolves over time, but you still try to make the best decisions. And some of the things that we've observed about the universe is that it behaves very much so, or like a holographic projection, or perhaps a little bit more like a simulation than we're comfortable with. And we don't have an analogous physics or word or experience to describe what we're seeing other than, it's a lot like the idea of a simulation. It's a lot like the idea of a computer program. And that's, to be honest with you, probably not true.
The quantum entanglement thing and the slits with the particles going through it are so mind-bending to me. And like you said, the idea of transmitting information faster than the speed of light using quantum entanglement, it seems like if you just had, I don't know, I'm just picturing like 26 particles for each one for a key on a keyboard that had 26 corresponding ones anywhere in the universe, and you can flip them on and off, and the corresponding one instantaneously does the same thing. It seems like It seems like you're transmitting information faster than
Dude, if we're in a
Yes.
simulation, that is so gay.
Oh,
That sucks.
You're not real.
We're not even real.
But no, I think so like I have a hard time believing that there's like a old man, like an old man god with like a heaven with streets of gold and stuff that I'm gonna go to. That ain't
Lightning
happening.
bolts.
Yeah, all that nonsense. But like if it's a simulation, maybe there's like a post-game screen or something, and the credits roll, and they're like, want to play again? And you get to like pick your avatar. Now you're a level 2 player, right? This was level 1. This is like that part of the video game where the tutorial, they teach you to throw the grenade, how to duck, how to dodge, how to jump. They're like, time for level 2, Kyle. Now you know all the controls. Do I get a custom avatar this time? Well, of course,
I'm gonna be popular in high school this time around.
Oh, so popular, so popular.
You're like there at the post game screen, and you're like playing with your stat attribute. You're like, man, do I want to be popular or do I want to be healthy? Or like, do I want my dick to be big or do I want to be jacked? And you're just kind of like creating your next character. Every time you play through,
you know
get
what?
more unlock points. Like
I'm going to use this book and give myself a trustworthy nose.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna,
It's also kind of like the short story, The Egg, for those of you that read.
What if your karma has been counted your whole life? You're up your goods and bad deeds, and when you go to level 2 after you die, that's your currency that you spend on your new character. That's how many special points you have. You're like, oh no,
we're all the way back to religion now. Just
there's an analogy there.
Isn't Hinduism the one with reincarnation, right? And Buddhism, right?
Yes. Reincarnation, you're supposed to go through several cycles until you reach enlightenment. You can move up or down. Most people, like kind of like the stock market, it can go up and down, but for the most part, you're progressing forward over the long run.
Yeah.
That would kind of be a cool system. But also it's like it's not even fair. Because if you have literally no memory of a previous life, how are you? So you're just supposed to luck into doing it right.
This was level 1. We're level 1 characters. We didn't have a previous life. Next time we get one. This level 2.
So we do have memory of our previous life.
We keep this whole thing on board. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fair.
Around?
What's that?
Are we born in the same year, or does it keep going? Because I have some stock market picks to make.
You get to choose. You get to pick. So you can do like an LA Noire type vibe. You can do like a cyberpunk type vibe. You can pick your universe the second time. So
that's tight. You should come up with religions, man.
I mean, real talk. If you were
L. Ron Hubbard too over here, like my, I won't fucking take all your secrets and make you hold those metal rods. And
like, guys, question: if you were God and you had a lot of time to do things, wouldn't you at least once, to be curious, build a simulated universe and live in it without your godly memories, just so that you could have a unique experience or whatever?
Yeah,
I don't think you even could have a unique experience if you're omnipotent and omniscient. It's kind of that would be like building a little Lego world and then being like, I'm just going to lose myself in the Lego world, because like even your presence there would be a constant reminder that you are engaging yourself in like
this has been done several times in sci-fi and fiction.
Yeah. You wouldn't remember it. You would remove your own memories, so to you it just feels fun and fresh and new. It'd just be a thing to do.
You could remove. Yeah, I wonder how that would be interesting. It'd be like deleting your memory of a movie, watching it again. Or something.